Reagan, and today I'm here to bring you my June book haul, and this video is a paid promotion in part with Disney Hyperion and Simon Pulse. I was actually pretty good with my book buying this month. I say pretty good, I still have accumulated a significant amount of books, but I am moving in like a month across the country, and books are heavy, so I'm trying to buy less books, at least until I get there, fingers crossed, wish me luck. That being said, all of the books I picked up this month I'm super excited about because literally I felt like I had to have them right now. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right in. First book I'm going to talk about is an obvious one, and that is Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. I finally got my hands on the finished copy. Loved this book already. I've already read it. You'll hear about my thoughts more at the end of the month, but this is the second book to Cassandra Clare's Dark Artifices series. To me, it's just such a good story. It really has made me fall back in love with Cassandra Clare. The plot of this novel is a little difficult to delve into without spoiling or at least relatively referencing past books in the series, and I don't want to accidentally spoil anyone. But that being said, you do unfortunately and probably should read all of the other books that Cassandra Clare has put out before you get into the Dark Artifices. I know that's a lot of books, but sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. The next book I'm going to talk about is the Peruse-topia book club pick of the month for the month of June, and that is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandia Menon. And oh my goodness, I've already read and loved this book. I have a full non-spoiler review, which I'll leave linked down below, but this is a YA contemporary story following Dimple and Rishi. Dimple has just graduated high school, she's gotten into Stanford, and she's very excited to kind of escape some of the pressure she feels at home from her family to find the ideal Indian husband and finally start pursuing and working towards reaching her career goals in web development. Rishi, on the other hand, is a hopeless romantic, and he really finds a lot of comfort in the traditions that he grew up with. So when the idea of arranged marriage is brought up by his parents, he's actually very excited about it. And when his parents tell him that he can go to a camp in San Francisco to meet his future wife, he totally jumps on board. However, when Rishi arrives there and meets Dimple, he quickly realizes that Dimple has no idea who he is or why he's there to meet her, and basically hijinks ensues. This is a coming-of-age story for both characters. It's an absolutely adorable YA contemporary love story. I could just go on and on and on about how much I loved this book. I won't, but just know that I really loved it, and you should read it. This is just so good. Yes. The next book I got is a new release this month, and that is Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. This is the sequel to This Savage Song, which I read last year and absolutely loved. This Savage Song is a post-apocalyptic sort of dystopian setting, dual perspective YA novel following two very flawed main characters that live in a world that's literally divided by a wall. It's basically a world where monsters can manifest and exist. The monsters themselves are created from bad actions, from violence to ignorance, and when these actions take place, they manifest in the form of monsters. There's some musical elements to this book. It's so good, and I cannot wait to read this sequel. It's probably gonna be my next read, and I'm so pumped about it. The next book I got was the book I picked up in Paris from Shakespeare & Company, and that is Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. It took me a long time to figure out what book I wanted to pick up from that bookstore. I finally decided on a classic British fantasy story by two classic British men. I have my stamp in here. I'm very excited about it, and I also just thought this edition was hands down beautiful. This novel just sounds unbelievably hilarious and witty, and from what I read, it definitely had that feel. This is a story about Armageddon. It's supposed to happen next Saturday. Armies of good and evil are amassing. The four horsemen of the apocalypse are arriving. However, someone has misplaced the Antichrist and they need to find him, and I believe that's kind of the story. It kind of unfolds from there. It just sounds like so much fun, and also so unbelievably Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett-ish. I just could not get this book, and I was really excited, okay? The next book I have to show off is Wild Man by J.C. Geiger. This is a YA coming-of-age story, and this follows our main character Lance, who's a valedictorian, first-chair trumpet player, and just overall has his life completely figured out. However, when his 93 Buick breaks down pretty much in the middle of nowhere in a very small town, nobody knows this about him. In fact, when they see him, the locals of this town just call him Wild Man. And when he gets this new name, it kind of transforms him because he realizes that these people have no expectations of who he is and what he's done, and therefore he can kind of embark on his own personal journey and adventure and in fact be wild man. He starts to do things he's never done before, he meets a girl, and he kind of begins to transform in ways he wasn't expecting. This is a debut novel that really appears to be playing with the idea of identity and place and how quickly one can kind of transform into becoming their real selves when their plan kind of falls apart. This sounds really intriguing. I personally love journey style stories, and I feel like this is going to be following Lance, or Wildman, as he kind of traverses from place to place. I think this book sounds very interesting. It just came out on June 6th. It is a new release, and yes. The next book I have to show you guys was sent to me for review by the author, Ava Poehler, and that is The Mystery Box. This follows a soccer mom, Yvette Palmer, who lives a very ordinary life in San Antonio, Texas, until one day a box is delivered wrongfully to her address. She brings it over to her kind of mysterious neighbor to rightfully hand it off to her, and then she's kind of pulled in to a mystery and some dramatic antics from there. I am a sucker for thrillers. I just always love reading them because it's a book I can read in one sitting. I was nicely sent this for review by the author, and she's also offered to give this book for free for you guys if you're interested, so I'll leave that link down below. This is by no means sponsored. I just, like to give the opportunity to give you guys a free book. But I thought this sounded really interesting, so I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to get your hands on it too. The last stack of books I have to show you guys are all from Book Outlet. As you guys know, I have a Book Outlet page, which I'll leave linked down below. But yeah, the first book I have to show you guys I'm super pumped for, and that is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallor. This is obviously a YA retelling or just news story of Sherlock and Holmes. I love Sherlock and Holmes, and I just mentioned how much I love thriller and mystery novels, so this is like right up my street. This is a female retelling of Sherlock Holmes, and I'm here for it. Jamie Watson goes to a boarding school, and guess who she meets? Charlotte Holmes, and that's how they get roped into a mystery that they have to solve together. I don't even need to know anything else because I'm basically sold, because how could I not be? Hello. The next book I'm super excited about, and that is Like River Glorious by Ray Carson. This is the second book to Ray Carson's I don't know if this is a duology, but the first one is Walk on Earth a Stranger, I want to say, and it is a YA fantastical gold rush historical fiction style of a series. I'm currently reading her other series, A Girl of Fire and Thorns, and loving it so far, so I wanted to have her other book series on hand because I really feel like I'm going to marathon it pretty soon because I'm so sucked into this book series. I really feel like Ray Carson's becoming one of my favorite YA fantasy authors, so I just grabbed this when I saw it as a good price because I just have a deep feeling that I'm gonna love it. Next up, I have Serafina by Rachel Hartman. This is literally a book I have been meaning to read since I joined BookTube. This is a YA fantasy novel centered around dragons, and I feel like that's why I haven't picked this up, because I'm not a big magical creatures fantasy fan usually. I don't really love reading stuff about dragons, but I've just heard so many good things about this that I just was like, you know what? You need to read it. You were just complaining about how you were running out of YA fantasy, and this is like a must. This is a world where humans and dragons live side by side until politically the tensions between these two groups begin to rise, and from there I believe there's a lot of political intrigue, war, and all things I love to read in novels. So I really feel like I'm going to really enjoy this. I also really love this paperback. I think it's very pretty, so I got it. The next book I've just seen really good reviews about, and honestly the synopsis completely hooked me, and it's The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. This is just a novel that's incredibly short, but I feel like it's going to be like dark and twisting and just completely grabbing my attention from the first page. It's about 4 very distinct perspectives who all have secret desires or things that they want to achieve or accomplish out of life that they're feeling a lot of pressure about. However, their lives become very entangled, and it says this book is about people who try to save each other and how sometimes when they least expect it, they succeed. I don't quite know what that means, but I'm very interested to find out. Like, I feel like this is a perfect beach read or plane read because it's so tiny, and I feel like it's just gonna keep me gripped from page 1. Alrighty guys, that is my June book haul. I hope you enjoyed. I will leave everything linked down below that you need, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon with another one soon. Goodbye!